The broadcast is live. Here we are. This is the Health, Love, and Life Show. This is Coach Arnie. And we're getting closer to Christmas. And one of the reasons that I came up with the topic tonight, but before we get there, don't forget you can contact me, you can call me, you can email me, or you can text me. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate to get a hold of me. Especially this time of year, it's crazy for a lot of people, and there's a lot of angst, anxiety, depression, and just know that you can reach out as well. We're going to talk about expectations versus aspirations, and especially this time of year. And I'm going to skip over a few things, and then we'll circle back. But the one thing I want everybody to remember that hears this is that give yourself some grace, which means forgiveness during this time of year, because our expectations for how things are supposed to go when you're dealing with human beings is many times unrealistic. Even though when we start to discuss the definitions here, expectations in general are based on realism. That's why they're expectations. We expect them to happen. So when you expect certain things to happen that involve other human beings, we get regularly beat down and disappointed. So give yourself some grace that that you possibly had the wrong expectations or the wrong way, as we're going to discuss tonight, the wrong way to look at things. And so instead of blaming yourself that things didn't work out well, just try to look at it a little differently and say, oh, well, next time it'll be better. Because when we look at these two words, and they're very similar, at least a lot of people think they are. I did. Because when we aspire, when we aspire to something, we're dealing more with, I look at more like the spiritual. We're hoping, we're dreaming, we're desiring. I aspire to be an astronaut. I aspire to be, CEO of the company. You're sitting there at your desk and you just got hired, looking around, you go, wow, wouldn't that be cool if one day I could be running this place? And so you're aspiring. I have a guy going crazy right now he loves to help me, but then we can never, it's actually a good thing I can use right now. When I first partnered with him a little bit, my expectations were too high, and his expectations and mine were unrealistic because we were coming from two different kind of perspectives, and so we never could come together. And I can honestly say I tried, but it just, he goes off on this direction, and I'm trying to catch up, but I can never catch up. So to me, that's not leadership. Leadership is what I saw this weekend. I was climbing the highest peak here in Phoenix, and pretty tough climb too. It's called Camelback Mountain, and it was a busy day. I mean, busy, and people are going to probably get all worried. Oh my God, it's with all the viruses and stuff, packed. But some people were in masks. I mean, I'll say a lot were. But I had climbed it a number of times, and I was heading up for my last one, and I saw these little kids kind of running around the trail. They weren't very far up yet, and one little girl was sitting on a rock. They were all dressed up in their cool little, almost looked like dance uniforms, leotards or little sweats, tights, headbands. And they couldn't have been more than, I'm gonna be really honest with you, 3, 4, 5, no more than 5 years old at all. And I didn't see any adults around, at least not with them. They were just climbing around. And then I took off and did my thing, and I was coming back down, and they were near the top. Well, the little girls were. I saw them again, this time climbing over some really tough boulders, and then I saw behind them a gentleman, a young guy. He had a little walking stick, and I assumed he was a dad or the adult in charge, anyways. And I said, "Is this their first time?" He looked at me and smiled. No, he goes, "They've done it quite a few times." Just confident. But the way he was leading, it was at a point now where he expected them to be okay because they had done it a few times. And so he was leading from behind like a shepherd, just kind of watching his sheep, letting them discover and learn, which is a beautiful way to teach. It's a beautiful way. It's opposite of the way we teach today, which is why, hop on my soapbox for a minute, which is why our schools don't work. It's one of my pet peeves, and big fan of unschooling and Waldorf school, and just so many different really innovative ways to learn. But this guy was letting them to discover. And you know what he's gotten from that? He now has the expectation that they are going to do well with this mountain. And I'm assuming he teaches them the same way other things too. Whereas when he started, he had an aspiration. Boy, I hope they like climbing this mountain because I like it. I dream that they will one day have the same love that I have for doing this. Now he has an expectation that they will, because it's based in reality. He's seen them do it. He's seen them come back for more. He's not having to pull them along. They're going on their own. They're doing it themselves. So his expectation is his aspirations for them, which we all do. We all wish that our children or people that we work with do certain things that we want them to do. We aspire that they want to, be better on their team or in the family. We have children. We aspire. Oh, can't we just all get along? Can't you just go to school and get good grades and make everybody happy and right? And we dream, we hope. The problem is we start off with the expectation, the expecting to achieve, the looking forward to my child doing well. But it's not based on reality. And that's where we get in trouble, because there's no evidence. You have no evidence to show that that's going to happen. You're basing it on an expectation, which is why I'm a big believer that expectations can be our path to unhappiness. And they many times are, especially over the holidays, which is why I started off with give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace. And if you hear this message, take a deep breath and step back. Slow things down. Slow things down. So if you're planning holiday parties, if relatives are coming in, if relatives aren't coming in for whatever choice they make, if you're putting pressure on them, if you're putting expectations on them, there's a good chance you're going to be disappointed. Because they may say no. or they may show up and cause you grief. And then you're going to be disappointed again, because isn't everybody just supposed to be happy because we expect them to? Isn't everybody supposed to be happy because we we aspire them to be, but we expect them to get along with other people that we bring into the mix? I mean, I've seen it. I've seen families, big families, and then somebody invites a friend and somebody invites another friend. I had something happen that I know of for a fact where one person was there on their own, another person was there on their own, and they tried to get them to interact. And the one person says, that's not why I'm here. I'm here to just enjoy people. I didn't come here to be coerced into something. And so you know what they got for that? That person never wants to show up again. Yeah. So whatever the expectations were of each of those groups, it's like the guy I was just telling you about. His expectations for what he wants me to do never meet mine. So the expectations of one group of people at an event definitely were not in sync with the other person's, and so they clashed. And now you've created two groups of people that don't want to even see each other. And that's sometimes what expectations can do when they're not based on realities, which and by definition, they should be. When we have expectations, like if you aspire to be a doctor, that's a good aspiration, right? But if you're expected to be a doctor, I mean, there's been movies and books written on this, that, somebody gets all the way to medical school, all because somebody else had an expectation and they were coerced into it and they didn't believe it. And at some point they go, I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be an artist. I want to be a singer. I want to be, I was with a client, very good friend, just a wonderful person. And I was actually working with his daughter as well, both his daughters. And he had very high expectations for them because he came from a tough family and tough childhood. So he was divorced. So he was raising both his daughters. And the one daughter, the oldest daughter, did very well. She was tough, but she went to school, got a degree, had a very good job. A couple years older, and so she, but she was with Dad when he was going through his tough time, his growing time. The youngest one was with Dad when he had made it. So she didn't have a lot of want. She got pretty much whatever. And when she finished with high school, there was an agreement that she was going to be a nurse. And during her first year, she called me and she said, I don't want to be a nurse. I go, whoa, does your dad know this? She goes, not really. I go, what do you want to do? She goes, I want to tell him that I want to be a nurse. I go, what do you want to do? She goes, I want to be a teacher. I go, okay. And long story short, when your expectations don't match, remember my previous story? We had fireworks because his expectations were so high for her that when she wanted to be a teacher, he thought that was not good enough for her. And So what came of that? She left, and she hasn't been back since. That's going on 2 years now. So what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say is that when we try to turn our aspirations into expectations without any evidence, we're going to run into problems. And you can look at it this way as well. If you lived your whole life aspiring to do things, I aspire to get a job. I aspire to find some special person in my life. I aspire to give millions of dollars to charity. I aspire to do all these wonderful things. And you're always going to be happy. Your whole day is going to be positive, right? Because you're just positive. The problem with that is that it's not based in reality. So you're never going to do anything. You'll be the proverbial daydreamer. And so at some point, for fulfillment to happen in your life, there's got to be not a balance, but I think there has to be enough expectations based in reality, things that you have evidence that you can do, and enough aspiration, things that you dream about doing, that you desire, that you hope for in your life. So when these two things are teetering and getting into balance, now we have the opportunity to really do some things. Now we have the opportunity. Because see, as you gain evidence, like the little girl is climbing the rocks, as you gain evidence that you can do this, your expectations will grow. Your expectations will grow. All right, let's take a few seconds here, take a quick break, and we'll come right back, and we'll dig a little deeper into aspirations and expectations and how we deal with stuff. We'll be right back with the Health, Love, and Life Show on GoingSoloMedia.com. We are back, and while we were away, somebody wanted some information here, so I'm shooting it over to them. Yeah, so where were we? We were talking about aspirations and expectations, and the problem with it is there are differences. The problem is when we turn our aspirations into expectations without any evidence that it's going to happen, and we all know people like we've all done it. We've all done it. We all put, and here's a real, this is my way of defining it when I first started to kind of go down this road and study a little bit. Aspirations are things that I can put onto other people. I aspire to be a better friend. I aspire to that, to be able to find somebody special. I aspire to get that job. I aspire to whatever, expectations I have learned to put on myself. Because when I put expectations on other people, I'm setting myself up for failure. Almost invariably. I don't care who you are. If you're putting especially high expectations on other people, you are setting yourself up for a fall, because people will just let you down. And nobody gets up. Listen. If somebody gets up in the morning and says, I'm going to really screw with Arnie today, that is somebody that I don't want to be around. I was coaching a guy today, and he had one of the best days of his life yesterday. Just phenomenal stuff. He got to interview with the founder of the company, introduce himself, and just some great things were happening. And today he had a busy day. He was doing some things, and then he started a conversation with somebody on his team. And the person on the team, I don't think was doing it on purpose, but was negative about his job. And this guy's not going to lie about what he's doing. I mean, he's not going to, say, well, it looks pretty good. He just won't say anything. So this other guy was just telling him all the negative things about, wanting him to stay home instead of coming back. I mean, just dumb things. And I said, wow. I go, why did you listen to that? He goes, well, I go, okay. But until we get better at changing the channel, because we can sit there in a conversation with somebody, guys. And if they're negative, to me, you give them one shot at that. Because the next time that they come into a conversation with you, if you allow it, and you don't change the topic, that's on you. Because I don't want to be around people I don't know about you, but I certainly don't want to be around people like that. Oh my God, those are energy drainers. Right? Remember, and I've talked about it before. Let's say you come to a holiday party, because if you haven't started, and you're probably going to be starting this week or for sure next week. And, you go to the party, you're there, and somebody walks in the room, and some people go, wow, look who's here. It's Jimmy. It's Arnie. Or some people go, oh man, look who's here. It's Jimmy. Ooh, or Arnie. Ooh. And they kind of go the other way. Because what they don't want is they don't want to be in a conversation with somebody who's going to pull energy out of them. I don't. I want to be around somebody who's going to give me energy, who's going to pump me up, make me feel good. Isn't that what you want to be around? I do. Now, I'm not saying, look, we all have bad days. We all have bad days. We all have bad, when we're just not, we don't got it. And that's okay. But there are certain people that just bring that with them every time. And you know what I mean. So if you're in a situation like that and you're continuing to allow that to happen, that's on you. You know, it's okay to fire your friends. Hold on a second. I'm going to take a quick swing. It's okay to fire your friends, everybody. Hey, there are some people that fire their families. That's really hard. I feel like that sometimes. I've got someone in my family I want to fire almost all the time. I love her to death. I pray about her every morning. But there's just certain expectations. Well, I don't have any anymore. I aspire just to love. I aspire just to love them the way they are, not try to change them. I encourage and love them. That's all I do, and try to understand. Because if I have high expectations that we're going to be best friends, we're going to get along, it's too high. I will be disappointed. And then I will say dumb things like, oh, you know, I'm trying so hard. Well, I don't know if I am or not, but I don't want to go down that road. I just want to love them. And if it works, it works. That way, I don't have those expectations. But see, a lot of us in families, especially in families, we put such high expectations because it's our family. We love our family, don't we? I do. And when we have such high expectations on them, it becomes unrealistic. Because in many cases, they've never done it before. So in reality, you're only aspiring them. You aspire for them to be better. You aspire to them to find the right relationship. You aspire to them to get a good job or go to college. You know, I used to, when I was teaching in college, I had one of my lessons was about, wasn't so much about genetics, but it was a component, meaning that, and this was almost 30 years ago, and I would tell these parents, I go, why do you expect your child to be great at a sport that you were terrible at? I see it all the time. I still do. Now, some that are exceptional, that were exceptional, they aspire to have their children have the same opportunity. It's like me when I've been to the Grand Canyon. My aspiration is to share that with as many people as possible. That experience with people. Now, if somebody trains with me, prepares, does all the work, strategizes everything, now my expectations are that they have a epic adventure. Because now it's more than, now it's based on reality because they prepared. But if you've never prepared, you haven't done it, and you expect somebody to do it, those are unrealistic expectations. And that's what we see all the time. Going back to that Christmas party, if two people have never got along and you expect them to get along at your party, that's unrealistic. You aspired something that you turned into an expectation. It wasn't based on reality. It was hope. It was a desire. It was a dream. Expectations, guys, you know, they're set in our ego. They're set in our ego, meaning that it's something that you want. You know, something that you have, how do I want to say this? You have such a strong, how do I want to say this? You have such a strong mindset that it's going to happen no matter what. that when it doesn't, it's devastating. You're steadfast. That's the word I was looking for. You're steadfast, okay, for this goal. And it goes beyond desire. And it can be dangerous when it's not based on reality. And I see it a lot. I see it so much, especially with parents and their kids, especially when the parents have never done it. And the child wants to make the parent happy, but they don't know how, because it's like the young lady that didn't want to be a nurse. It wasn't in her heart. Her heart was to be a teacher. But her dad didn't understand that. So she left. So, I mean, just like any relationship, guys, if you're not willing to accept them unconditionally as an adult, then that relationship will not work. And it doesn't matter if they're your child or not. Listen, if you're an adult and you're parenting your adult child, you failed. No judgment, but you failed. But I see it all the time. I choose not to do that. If my kids come to me and ask for help, I do the best I can. Sometimes I can't help them, but I do the best I can to help them. But I'm not going to tell them what to do. I'm not going to tell them what to do. I'm going to be there for them and help them. But a lot of adults will tell them what to do. And I'm not saying it's bad advice. Sometimes it's great advice. Right? Sometimes it's great advice. But then it denies them the opportunity to figure it out themselves as well. Get the point? And to grow. Not saying that they're not going to grow with you, but if you're always there to be the hammock, are they ever going to learn how to stay up on the high wire and go for it? I don't know. But at some point you got to make yourself a life. And so, it's like when in life, here's a little quote for you. In life, when your aspirations become expectations, that's when life gets hard. And why do I say that? Let's think about it for a second. Remember what I said earlier? An aspiration, a dream, a desire, something that's in your heart, hope. When you put that same kind of energy into an outcome for somebody, even yourself, I guess, sure, but for somebody else, without any clear evidence that they've put in the training or have the ability, and so you set that bar way high, you've set yourself up to fall. You've set yourself up to fall. Versus having, let's flip that for a second. What if you had high aspirations? Oh, I hope I can get that job. I hope one someday. I heard a quote from Hubert Humphrey. Many years, he was a senator and ran for president. He was a senator in Minnesota, really good guy. And he was in Washington, D.C., doing something, working when he was a young man, very young man. And his wife was with him. And he goes, I can't remember her name. Let's say Mary. Mary, if I work really hard, someday we can live here. That's an aspiration. And he defined it by working hard. He didn't define it by, Mary, if we hope hard enough, someone's going to give us this. No. If we work really hard, someday we could get here. We could live here. So when we have high aspirations, low expectations, and I'm not saying that because you want to challenge yourself, because we're challenging ourselves with the high aspiration. That's what we dream. That's our dream. Dream big. Dream big. But the expectation on ourselves, I'm going to be better. Today, I'm going to be better than yesterday. Today, I'm going to make more phone calls than yesterday. Today, I'm going to work on this more. These are my expectations based on reality. Because that gap between aspirations and expectations, that's where you have the happiness. Remember we talked about earlier about when you have a lot of aspirations, when you have a lot of hope and desire. I mean, that's a lot of positive stuff going on, right? And you have gratitude. You do something, thank you, God. Thank you. You're just gracious as hell for doing something, getting something done. Okay. Maybe you're a student, you got an A on a test or a B on a test. Wow. One test. Okay. So, and then you have dreams and visions. All the magic is happening right between expectations down here and aspirations up here. And then all that dreaming, all that good stuff's going on in here. And pretty soon they come together. They come together. But it's a process. But if we jump right into expectations on other people, you have a good chance of being disappointed. And again, circling back again, one more time. Give yourself grace. Forgive yourself this holiday season. Forgive yourself going forward into 2021. If you put too high of expectations. One of these weeks here, we're going to do a show. Maybe at Christmas. Well, probably next week we'll do it. We'll do a show on, getting ready for the new year, setting goals. We're going to talk about my Grand Canyon adventure, challenging yourself. It's having something that's going to pull you forward, for however long it takes. It'll keep you in the game. Okay? Because as you build up those expectations, as you fill in the gap there between expectations and aspirations, and you close it down till you get it. But if you start way up here with these super high expectations on other people and yourself, you may not get there. You may just wear yourself out before you ever get there. And then you've accomplished nothing because you may be so angry that you didn't even learn from it. So, I hope you're dealing with expectations a little bit differently. I hope you have a good balance of aspiration, hope, desire, dreaming in your life. And I hope you're learning not to put expectations on other people, put them on yourself, but be realistic. What are they based on? What are those expectations based on? Because if they're not based on any kind of realistic event or thing in your life, then it's still an aspiration. And you need to do some work. Like Hubert Humphrey said, if we work really hard. So if you're willing to do the work, you might get there. All right, guys, it's Coach Arnie. And, we got another minute here. We got some time. I thought for a second I didn't see my clock right. But no. So this is what I wanted to finish with. Choosing well. I'm a big fan of making good choices. Because when we make hard choices in our life, we can have a really good life. But when we settle for the easy choice, then life gets hard because we don't challenge ourselves. So if you choose to sit around and just dream, easy. You just be positive. Everything's fine. No big deal. But if you choose to dream and then put some overalls on and do some work, there's no telling what you can't do, because you already have the picture in your head of what you want, what you desire, right? Now you just got to go get it. But if you never dream, then it goes the other way as well. So you have to have that combination. So you have to choose well. Choose what you want to do in your life. Choose if you're going to aspire. Choose if you're going to, who you're going to put your expectations on, or how you're going to put those on, how high you're going to put them. And then make a plan and then follow through. And you'll be surprised what you'll accomplish with a good balance of aspirations and expectations in your life. All right, everybody. Hey, this is Coach Arnie with the Health, Love, and Life Show. And don't forget, you can call me or text me anytime you want. Be kind to yourself over the next few weeks, especially. It's a tough time of year for a lot of people, especially what's going on out there with all the craziness and nuttiness. But just give yourself some grace. Okay? Slow things down a little bit. Love yourself. You'd be surprised what happens. I love you guys. See you next week.